Hi, I'm Jo Pratt and I'm with Nick from I Keep Fit, and I'm going to make a really nice griddled chicken with a crunchy coleslaw. Something super healthy, nice and easy. And we're starting off with some chicken breast. So I've got some skinless, boneless chicken here.
Are they organic or free range?
They are. These are free range, these ones, and I think it's nice if you can to spend that little bit more on good quality chicken, because it's just going to be better all round for the chickens, for you, and the food will just taste so much nicer in the end as well. I'll put the chicken in between two pieces of greaseproof paper. I'm just going to hit it with a rolling pin. This is where you take all your frustrations out on the day.
And how thin should it go?
Right, you can go as thin as you want to really, but all I want to do is just try and just get a really nice even layer, because as you can see, chicken's sort of fat on one end and thin at the other, and when we cook it, it wants to cook evenly. So it's about the thickness, well, about, I don't know, just over a pound coin thickness. So you can go a little bit thinner if you want to, but as you can see, it's all about the same. That's a big pound.
It's nice and level.
It's a big pound coin. I like to be generous with my pound coins. Let's just make it a little bit. There we go.
And that'll make it cook faster as well, won't it?
It will, and it'll cook more evenly, but definitely it'll cook faster. So you just want to pop this into a dish, because we're going to marinate this. Now, of course, you don't have to use chicken, you could use turkey. Just give my hands a wash. There we go, and then let's just make some space. I'm going to make a marinade for this. So we have some oregano, some nice fresh oregano.
And if you can't get fresh oregano?
You can use dried. Dried's fine, actually. I mean, fresh it gets a slightly more pungent flavour, I suppose, the fresh does. It's nicer, but you can certainly use dried, or you could use tarragon if you wanted to use some fresh tarragon. Basil's nice, rosemary. But I just think oregano is a nice flavour that we don't really use as much as we should do in cooking, and it's really nice with chicken. Because chicken itself is quite a bland flavour. It doesn't really taste of a great deal. So it's a perfect base for adding lots of different flavours to. So let's just add that to there. Got some garlic. Nice healthy portion of garlic there.
I'm pleased you're using garlic because it's a great anti-inflammatory.
Oh, brilliant.
And great for your cardiovascular system, so
I should use more than one clove?
Bring it on.
Use lots. Just make sure if you're eating with somebody else, you both eat lots of it. A good squeeze of lemon juice. Right over the top. Doesn't matter if you get some pips in here, because this is just a marinade. You're not going to use the marinade for anything else. And
if you haven't got lemon?
You could use lime. Lime's quite nice with this. I mean, lemon's better. Lemon and chicken are lovely flavours that work well together. It's nice just to have that natural acidity rather than using a vinegar. So lemon ideally, but lime would be fine. And then just a little olive oil over the top. Classic sort of marinade. You've got a bit of acid, you've got a bit of oil. It just binds everything together. And then season this with some pepper. And some salt. And then just rub it over the top of the chicken. And there's plenty here for 2 chicken breasts, really. So you don't have to just stick to the one. There we go. And then ideally, if you can, leave this. And you can leave it for up to 24 hours, really. It won't matter because chicken won't take too much flavour on. If it was fish, then you wouldn't want to leave it for very long. But this could do 24 hours or half an hour, ideally. Doesn't matter. Whatever the time you have, just leave it for that long. And then you pop this in the fridge. And then I've got one that's already marinating, so I should get that out and just give my hands a rinse. So here's one, classically, I prepared before. So there's our nice marinated chicken. It's taken on a slightly white edge on there. That's the actual acid in the lemon that's made that do that. So it sort of starts to cook. And we're going to cook this on a griddle.
Now, why are you using a griddle, Jo?
Griddles are a brilliant way of cooking because you use far less fat. You've got that surface area that gets very, very hot, so it's a bit like barbecuing, so I don't need to use much oil on there, and it'll cook really quickly, so it'd be perfect for the chicken. And if you've not got a griddle, you could use a normal frying pan and just brush it with a little oil, or even pop it under a grill. Or if you're cooking in the summer, stick it on the barbecue. So I'm just going to add a little drop of olive oil, hardly any at all, just over the pan, and then give it a brush just to disperse the oil over the top. So it shouldn't stick. Griddle pans shouldn't generally stick, but because the chicken is very, very low in fat, I want to just add a little bit of oil on there so we don't have any risk of it sticking at all.
And why are you using olive oil?
It's fine for this. It's a light olive oil, so it's just, I mean, you could use vegetable oil, but olive oil is one of those things that I think you should always have a light olive oil in your kitchen next to your cooker just to do cooking with, because it's better for you than most of the other oils anyway. So it's great for this particular purpose. I've just put that on one side on a really high heat. You want to make sure it's nice and hot because it's quite a thin piece of chicken, so you don't need to worry about it not cooking if it's too high. But only want those nice griddle lines on there as well. So I will turn that over in a minute or so. And in the meantime, I'm going to make a really nice crunchy coleslaw to go with it. So let's clear some space. There we go. Move those out of the way. It smells lovely, doesn't it? You can smell that cooking already. You can just imagine what this is like if you're cooking it in the summer on a barbecue. Now, I'm going to make a crunchy coleslaw using some lovely fresh vegetables. I've got some fennel, which isn't your standard ingredient in a coleslaw, but I really like that sort of aniseedy flavour that you get from a fennel. Some red onion, some carrot that's been grated. These two have just been very finely sliced. And then I've got some cabbage as well that I'm going to cut up as well.
And can you use green cabbage as well?
You could. With these, you get these sort of ones like this, either white or red. I like to use the red one like this, or purple really it is, because I think the colour's really nice in it. It just makes it look really pretty. The big green cabbages, the boy cabbages that you can get, aren't quite as nice served raw, but these are great because they've got a really nice crunch and a lovely flavour to them.
And this recipe is great for our protein plan and also our low GI plan in the evenings as well, because it's mainly predominantly protein.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's full of lots of goodness. All of this, the vegetables that go with it, and it's really filling as well. And I think that's the thing, when you're eating something like a raw salad, which your coleslaw essentially is, it seems to take longer to eat because you're chewing it more and it makes you feel fuller quicker. Yeah. So it's a really, really sort of good filling dish without being unhealthy at all, basically.
That's what we like to hear.
That's definitely what we like to hear. So I've very finely sliced the cabbage. You could do this. You know those mandolins that you can get where you're likely to get your fingers at the same time if you're not using the guard? You could do it with one of those, or even in a food processor on a slicing setting. But if you feel confident with a knife and you think you can cut it nice and finely, then do that, because it's worth it. Makes it slightly chunkier. I'm just going to add these into here. There we go. So it gives a really lovely purple colour in the bowl. And then we'll add the fennel. Got the red onion. We've got some carrot all into the bowl.
Looks great.
Lovely. Was that a joke? Grated carrot looks great. I'm just going to turn the chicken. Just see how this is doing. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Really lovely and golden and nice and crunchy on the outside as well.
Perfect.
So while that cooks on the other side, I'll finish making this coleslaw. I've got here some mustard. I've got some whole grain mustard that I'm using.
And if you haven't got whole grain, what could you use?
You could use Dijon. Dijon's fine in this. English mustard's quite strong, so if you are going to use English, then don't go quite so overboard. But I think any mustard's nice, just to have a bit of a kick. And the whole grain gives a really nice sort of bite to it, so it's got the little seeds in there. I've got some creme fraiche. I'm going to use low-fat creme fraiche for this, trying to be good.
And why the creme fraiche?
You know when you buy coleslaw, if you get one that's already pre-made and it's all in a creamy sauce, often they'll use quite fatty mayonnaise. Creme fraiche isn't as high in fat. I mean, you could use yoghurt if you want to, which is even lower in fat, but creme fraiche seems to have a bit more of a flavour to it, I think, which works really nicely with this. It's quite tart, quite sour. But you could use yoghurt, or if you wanted to be a bit naughty, you could add a dollop of mayo. And a little...
Not naughty.
Is that a bad word? A little splash of white wine vinegar, just to give a bit of acidity in there, which is what you need. A little bit of salt and some pepper. And then something that you don't really have in a standard coleslaw is tarragon, but I really like tarragon, and because we're serving this with chicken, tarragon's a lovely flavour with chicken. Let's just tear it a bit more. So I'm going to chop some up.
And can you use other herbs? Apart from tarragon?
You could use parsley's fine in there. Parsley would give the colour, not necessarily the flavour. You could use basil. You could use some more oregano, but it's quite strong, oregano is, and you've got that flavour from the oregano in the marinade, so you probably wouldn't want to put it in here. But dill would be quite nice if you were serving this with some fish. You just want to give this a really good mix together. Now the key to keeping this crunchy is actually mixing all of this together quite close to when you're serving it. If you made this 24 hours in advance, it would go a little bit soggy by the time you ate it. So the best thing to do is try and make this fairly close to the last minute. A couple of hours in advance is fine. And then it will stay lovely and crunchy. You'd still get the flavour there if it was 24 hours in advance, but I think it's nice to keep it a lovely crunchy salad. Yeah, it looks lovely, doesn't it? Really colourful.
Looks great.
And then we're ready to serve, because I think that's chicken. It should be absolutely done. Now, if you've got the time with chicken, leave it to rest for a couple of minutes once you've cooked it. Take it out of the pan, stick it on a plate, and then just leave it to rest. See, I know that's cooked just by feeling it, because it feels quite firm, but still nice and juicy. But for the purpose of what we're doing, I'll serve it up on the plate. But as I say, leave it to rest for a couple of minutes before serving if you can. And then the meat will be nice and tender. And then a good serving of this. You can be as generous as you want to with all of these veggies.
What a great healthy meal.
And there you got. Let's go for one more spoon. I'm feeling hungry. So there you have your lovely griddled chicken with a nice crunchy coleslaw.
Great, Joe.